I tried to condense it and show you a lot of pictures. A lot of the pictures aren't of me because I'm not very good at taking pictures, but I have a lot of pictures, so that was kind of my center of it. Like Pastor Glenn said, I worked for group mission trips as a summer staff, which means I spent the whole summer traveling across the United States. So just some background information about group in case you forget or don't know. They've been in business since 1990, and they provide both domestic and international trips. There are 2 different programs, but they're run through the same organization, and they serve several thousands of youth every year. They have 4 different mission trip experiences. This year they only have 3. So I just pulled this off their website, so that wasn't updated, but they have work camp, Week of Hope, which is community service based, and they have their international program. And then they used to have a weekend work camp, but they've eliminated that because it wasn't very popular. So it's the mission trip that our youth go to. So it's a week-long trip, and they serve the community in several different ways. So I was a camper here for 7 years, and like Pastor Glenn said, the youth here have been going on these trips forever. I have no idea when. I was going to ask Cindy, but she's upstairs, so I don't know. And so the trips are hosted all around the United States. We had one here a couple years ago that I helped with, that several of us helped with. And then I put their mission statement up here just because that's kind of what they're about, and what all of what I did this summer was centered around, and what all of the staff did was centered around. So it's just, we strongly believe in providing opportunities for youth to encourage Jesus through serving others, either in their own backyards or halfway across the globe. And so when I was applying, I had to respond to this mission statement as one of my questions that they asked me, and I had to iterate why I would support that mission statement throughout the summer. So what is summer staff? 4 college-age kids in a group, and we go out and we serve in 2 to 3 different camps throughout the whole summer. There's about 70 summer staffers that all meet in Colorado, and then we do 2 weeks of training, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And we each train in 4 different roles. So the guy on our crew is the materials manager, and he manages all the materials that the campers get at the sites. And so he has about 40 sites that he manages the materials throughout the week and leading up to the week. And then this individual, she is the program manager. So she runs, during camp week, they do like a presentation every morning and every night. It's kind of like a devotional thing, and spiritual development for the campers. And she runs all of the programs, and she takes pictures of the campers throughout the week. And so she's really like the tech person on the staff. And then the next one is the office manager, and she does everything that coordinates with the facility that we're staying in. So she makes sure like custodians are getting what they need, the campers are getting what they need as far as facilities. She's helping with room assignments and just some foundational stuff for even internally with our staff. And then there's me, and I was the crew manager. So I took between 300 and 400 kids that came in, and I divided them into groups of 6 and sent them out to cruise. So it's a crazy and daunting task, but it's also like, it's like a giant puzzle, so I love it. It's a lot of fun to just figure out and think as a person that's been as a camper, to think that there was someone like me doing that for me and being able to turn that around and do it for the kids. I think that's just amazing to be able to do. So we as a group go out and serve, and these people are people I have never met before. So I got 3 days into training, and they did this big crew reveal night where they like had us dress up and had fancy tablecloths and all this stuff, and they did this huge presentation with a bunch of suspense, and they're like, here's the 4 people you're going to spend the rest of your summer with. Good luck. We do a lot of bonding at training, to try to help. So preparing for camp, like I said, we did training for 2 weeks. So I flew into Denver on Memorial Day. Memorial Day. And I spent way too long in the Denver airport waiting for a ride to go to Estes Park. So we spent 3 days at the YMCA in the Rocky Mountains. So it was so cool to be there. We were training for the whole time, so we really didn't enjoy much but the view outside the windows of our classroom, but it was still really cool to be there. So we did training there, and then we moved down to group is based in Loveland, and so we stayed at an elementary school in Loveland and continued our training for 2 weeks. And then at the end of training, we had to load up all of our gear. And this is one of the parts that none of the campers ever will even know unless they work for group about, is they have a giant warehouse that they store like copies of the same thing. So each crew of 4 of us go in there, and we take all of our stuff that will be with us for the rest of the summer, and that we drive around to all the different camps, and they have like sets of those so that we can take those out and provide the camp material. So that's things like extra tools, it's things like the program equipment. So we bring sound equipment, we bring screen and projector and that type of thing. So then when it's time, at the end of those 2 weeks, we are set loose. Basically set loose. We have to take a small driving test before, but we are given a rental vehicle and a Penske truck. And the 4 of us college kids rotate driving, 2 of us in each car, and we just flip through however we feel comfortable doing it. So that's different for every crew. Our crew kind of stopped at gas stations every 4 hours, and we flipped who was driving. And then the other person's generally was taking a nap or chatting. It was how we got to know each other in the beginning especially, or how we debriefed after camp. And so the person in charge of the office manager is the one that tracks how we travel and where we travel. So they are the ones that really set the route. And then we just have to get to our final destination, which is whatever camp we're going to. So during the camp week, so our camp week, unlike the campers, starts on the Wednesday before camp. So we have to arrive at our location by like 6 p.m. on that Wednesday so that we can have a meeting with the setup director, which is a person that's there beforehand that's helping set up the materials that go to the different sites that the kids will work with. So they're kind of just preparing it for the kids and preparing it for us so that we can come in and take over the reins and start to prepare the school and the lodging and everything to make sure it's ready for the kids when they arrive. So we meet with that setup director, and we work really closely with them to make sure that everything's on track for the kids when they arrive on Sunday. And then, so this is just kind of running through what I did just because that's what I know best. So I also arranged to make sure all the sites had what they need, and then I input that all into a database that they have made so that the kids then can get what they call a work description, and so that has all the information about what they're going to be doing for the week. So they get that, and they get to see that before they even get on site. And so I'm going into the database and making sure it's all entered in correctly. I'm also part of my job is also to work with the cafeteria staff. So I work to make sure there's enough food, that food deliveries come in on time, that all of that aspect of things is covered. So that involves several different components, and depending on the camp, it can be more or less complicated. I had one camp where we had not enough staff and too much food, not enough staff, and it was just like a whole big mess. And I had one camp where I had normal school staff that fed 600 kids, so the 400 that we had was